brain stem and the midbrain. So now it's about to get real. You have to understand what goes on. There are three major structures I want you to pay attention to in the midbrain, and that's the tectum, the tegmentum, and the basis. We're going to look at the cranial nerve nuclei, various long tracts and cerebellar circuits, the reticular formation in general. I mean, in particular. We're going to spend some time talking about consciousness as in alertness, attention, and awareness. As you lose components of this, you have everything from a state of non-awareness, non-alertness, which is pretty minor, to unconsciousness, to coma, to brain death. Projection systems and neurotransmitters ties in with reticular formation structures, nuclei, and coma and related status ties in with consciousness. So I just want you to be aware of what we're going to be doing. Now, this is a figure you should know. So, what you are now going to do on a piece of paper that's attached to your notebook is you are going to work at drawing that. So draw it out, because we are going to be adding structures to it over the next few minutes. And I really think you have to start being able to visualize what's here. Now, this is one of the few times I'll talk to you about how it was stained. This is a myelin stain. This is staining from myelin. As a result, what you should notice in here are dark areas and the lighter areas. And as a result of that, what you should be able to see is that the light areas are overwhelmingly cell bodies with some axons. You cannot have cell bodies without axons. And the dark areas are overwhelmingly axons, myelinated axons. So what we have in the three major areas here is a pretty clear-cut separation of tracts and pathways and nuclei. So I'll give you a little bit of time to finish up an overview there. So one simple way to look at this is, think about this as maybe a cross-section through a head. We have a couple of eyes sitting up front. We have some ears over here. We have the back of the head. Okay, granted, we have a weird head. We have the back of the head over here with the hair. That's one way to think about it.
Sorry, this is bottom is dorsal, back is bottom is ventral, that's dorsal, back is dorsal.
All right, so let's think about what's going on here. This isn't going to make a lot of sense to you yet. Wait, don't worry about anterior and posterior and dorsolateral yet. All right, I want you to think about what's going on here. Okay? It'll make more sense as we slide through it. So here it is. I'm gonna go back to this one. Leave the big one up there for a second for you, because there are structures that are really critical for you to keep track of. These here, here, and there. This structure here. Okay. This and this. Actually, this and this. It's very hard to see that you actually have some defined areas in there. And then the bases here. So the tectum. Overwhelmingly, the tectum is superior and inferior colliculi. So we have the two colliculi sitting here. These are the superior colliculi. Now, if you were to go back and look at some of the figures that we looked at for the cranial nerves, you'd see the colliculi sitting one above the other. Okay? Do you remember if you saw those in the anterior or posterior view?
It was the anterior.
The anterior view. Okay?
You can see the posterior too.
Now you can only see it from one view though. You see the colliculi from one view. Okay? I'm just, excuse me while I choke. So, overwhelmingly, the colliculi here. This, once again, we don't have a lot of tracks and pathways there. We have a big hole in the middle. Big hole in the middle. What could the big hole be or be part of? The what? The ventricular system. So, could this possibly be the para-aqueductal gray matter? Oh, okay. Now, if that's the para-aqueductal gray matter, these two spots here should have some important issues for you. We're going to expand on those in a minute, all right? As we're going to expand on these. The tegmentum, which is this area here, overwhelmingly the brainstem nuclei and the midbrain nuclei. Overwhelmingly. But the reticular formation is located in there as well. When you write down reticular formation, do me a favor, underline it. The reticular formation is really critical for you to understand. And then the basis, overwhelmingly, fiber tracts. So let's start to look at what we have here. We're going to probably stay on this for a long time. What I would like you to do is, as we talk about structures in here, okay? As we talk about various structures, label them on your drawing. I really think if you take the time to draw and label as we're walking through it, it's actually going to stick with you a little bit more. I'm thinking that. So we have the superior colliculus sitting up here. We have the cerebral aqueduct and the para-aqueductal gray matter. Now, the para-aqueductal gray matter sits as such. There are a lot of structures on here I'm not going to point out right away. I want us to build everything that is important for you to understand. Sitting over here, we have the anterolateral system. Oh look, darn, these are dark like this. They're fiber tracts. These two structures in here are the red nuclei. Now, if we had been higher in the brain, in the midbrain, you could have thought those were the thalami. And it's very easy to mistake those for the thalami, just looking at a slice. And then sitting here, this structure is the substantia nigra. right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1, cortical pontine fibers. These are fiber tracts from the frontal lobe. Cortical bulbar. We'll talk about these a lot more over time. Here we have the cortical spinal tract. More cortical pontine fibers in here. Occipital parietal temporal lobe. And then sitting right here, we have the optic tract. So, your goal for this week is to learn these boxed areas and be able to draw them on that section. That section is right here. Okay? So now, once again, let's go back to orientation. Because orientation is weird here. Because this is where the brainstem starts bending. Okay, so the brainstem, you remember, comes up, let's think about the ventricular system. It's coming up and looping over. So that superior surface, this is that angle in between the two. Okay? So what is that surface now in reality? What is this surface? Yeah, you think you had it right earlier.
Posterior, the dorsal one?
This is posterior up there. Okay? Here's the tract here. Here we have the substantia nigra sitting in over here. Okay? So it's really weird. The orientation is totally weird and bizarre here.
I thought if we take that cerebrum out, so we can see the superior colliculus and inferior colliculus.
Ask that question again.
I said, I think that the superior colliculus, like, it's
Are they
actually on the
sitting,
side of
where are
posterior.
they sitting? Here? Are these them or is that them?
That.
What is that in the back?
That's it.
Back here. Okay? I wish I was taller. Nope, it's not going to happen. Think about the orientation here. Look at this cut. When you look at that cut, what is this dark part coming through the cut? Right there. Stick. What is this dark area right here? Coming through the cut. The dark area, right there.
Yeah, we know what you're pointing, we don't know
Okay.
what it is.
The fourth vertical.
It's the aqueduct. All right? All right. If that's the aqueduct, what's this big chunk of tissue here? That's this. And the little piece back here is this. Does that make sense? Are you following how that works? Okay.
And a magnifying glass.
Well, yeah, it's blown up, but this little inset is just to give you some orientation. Because we're going to work through about 4 areas through here, work down, and I'm going to point out on each one of them what you should specifically know this week. Okay? So that you are clear. I hope. All right. Now, let's stay with the idea of the fact that you're in the midbrain. You're kind of just below the midbrain, and you're right in that juncture of midbrain headed down towards the brainstem. You